Hello and welcome to the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora. Thanksgiving is over, so now is the time for the Christmas festivities to begin, despite the fact that Walmart started selling decorations in September. But before we get into the stories of jolly old Saint Nick, there's one Christmas entity that makes his way out of the shadows and onto the scene in early December. Today, I'm talking about Krampus. They say he comes on the evening of December 5th, a night called Krampusnacht. You can usually hear him coming as his cloven hooves clip-clop in the snow. And when you see him, you'll instantly notice that he's armed with birch branches, so he can beat naughty children. His name is Krampus, and he's the terror of Germany, Austria, Croatia, and throughout the Alpine region around Christmas time. But who is Krampus? Why is he recognized as the anti-Santa? And how did this unsettling tale come about in the first place? Though descriptions of Krampus's form vary from region to region, some things remain consistent. He is said to have sharp, devilish horns and a long, snake-like tongue. His body is covered in thick fur, and he looks like a goat crossed with a demon crossed with a man. His body and arms are strung with chains and bells, and he carries a large sack or basket on his back to cart off wicked children. Krampus comes to town the night before the feast of St. Nicholas to visit all the houses to dish out his punishments. If you're fortunate, you might just get slapped with a birch branch. If not, you'll wind up in the sack. After that, your fate is anyone's guess. The legend suggests you might be eaten as a snack, drowned in a river, or even dropped off in hell. Because what better way to start off the Christmas celebrations than having to worry about a monster coming to kill you? Seems the Germans love frightening children as much as they love David Hasselhoff. Sometimes Krampus is accompanied by St. Nicholas, who isn't known to bother himself with naughty children in Central Europe. Instead, he focuses on handing out presents to well-behaved kids and leaves the rest up to his menacing colleague. It is the classic good cop, bad cop routine, only bad cop eats you. How did Krampus become a regular part of the holiday fun in places like Germany, Austria, Bavaria, the Czech Republic, and Slovenia? Nobody is entirely certain. But most people believe that Krampus originally hails from the Alpine region's pagan past. His name comes from the German word Krampen, which means claw, and he bears a striking resemblance to the Old Norse legends about the son of Hel, the god of the underworld. It's a compelling premise, especially since Krampus' appearance matches with a number of pagan winter rituals, most notably one that sends people parading through the streets to disperse the ghosts of winter. Over the years, as Christianity gained popularity in the region, aspects of Krampus' appearance began to shift to fall in line with Christian beliefs. The chains, for example, were not originally a feature of Hel's ghoulish son. It's believed that Christians added them to evoke the binding of the devil. And that wasn't the only change they made. Under Christian hands, Krampus took on a number of more devilish qualities, like the basket that he uses to carry wicked children to hell. From there, it isn't hard to see how Krampus, already associated with the winter festivities, might have been incorporated into Christian traditions in the legend of St. Nicholas around Christmas time. Today, Krampus has his own celebration on the day before the Feast of St. Nicholas in the Alpine region. Every evening on December 5th, a night called Krampusnacht, elegantly dressed St. Nicks pair up with monstrously outfitted Krampuses and make the rounds to homes and businesses offering gifts and playful threats. Some people exchange Krampusnacht greeting cards that depict the horned beast alongside festive, funny messages. Sometimes, large groups of people dress up as Krampus and run amok through the streets, chasing friends and passerbys with birch sticks. This activity is especially popular among young men, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. And if it is a surprise to you, you've never been around young men. Tourists who have witnessed this rowdy celebration say that running into a coffee shop won't save you from getting swatted. And the swats aren't exactly gentle. But luckily, they're usually confined to the leg, and the festive atmosphere often makes up for the occasional welt. Maybe. The tradition has become an important one in many countries and has come to include expensive handmade masks, elaborate costumes, and even parades. Though some complain that the celebration is becoming too commercialized many aspects of the old festival endure. Thankfully, however, Hallmark has yet to make a Christmas romance featuring a love-lorn Krampus. Traditionally, Krampus masks, for example, are typically carved from wood, and they are the products of significant labor, and artisans often work for months on these costumes, which sometimes end up on display in museums as examples of a living tradition of folk art. It's always remarkable when ancient traditions make it to the present, but Krampus had an especially rough fight for survival. In the 1930s, Krampus and all Krampusnacht activity were banned by the Nazi Party. Their motives were a little murky. So not only did the Nazis declare war on the Jones Boys, but they also declared war on the anti-Santa. Some say it was Krampus's ties to Christianity. Others say that he had ties to anti-fascist sentiment. Either way, they were sure that Krampus wasn't good for kids. And they passed out pamphlets titled, "Krampus is an Evil Man," warning parents against influencing young children with threats of a violent holiday intruder. Though they may have had a point about the traumatic effects of telling misbehaving children that they were going to be eaten by St. Nick's evil twin, society wasn't deeply moved. The ban was lifted with the Allies' victory, and vague murmurs of disapproval continued only a little while longer. But in the end, no one could keep Krampus down. Much like you can't put baby in a corner, you can't keep Krampus from swatting children or eating them or whatever he decides to do. By the end of the 20th century, Krampus was back in full force, and in recent years, he's made the leap across the pond to the United States. He's had cameos on many TV shows and even had a feature film made about him in 2015, which, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you adding it to your Christmas watch list, along with Die Hard. Some American cities, like Los Angeles, host annual Krampus celebrations that feature costume contests, parades, traditional dances, bell ringing, and Alpine horn blowing, cookies, and so on. So if you think Christmas needs just a little touch of Halloween, see if your city has a Krampusnacht celebration, and don't forget to dress up. I know in Maryland, Dragon Distillery has an annual Krampusnacht celebration with lots of vendors and fun. So if you find yourself in the DC area, it is worth the trek to check it out. Well, it seems that it is time to add this tale to my files. Until next time, stay safe and keep searching.
The Fedora Files. Check out fedoracrt.com today.